Good morning, children. Welcome back to the English class. Today we are going to continue with lesson number 7, The Raven and the Fox. I hope you all have watched the first video and you have read the poem. The poem is very easy. There's nothing difficult in it, and it is based on a famous fable which we all have read before. Now, do you remember what a fable is? Yes, fable is a short story which has animals as characters, and in the end, they have a moral which we are supposed to read and keep in mind. This fable, The Raven and the Fox, is written as a poem by the poet La Fontaine. Now, La Fontaine was a French poet. He wrote many poems, and many of them have been inspired by stories from Panchatantra and also Aesop's fables. This poem is of just 16 lines and has 4 stanzas of 4 lines each. In the first stanza, the raven, and what is the name of the raven? Mr. Raven. And the name of the fox is Reynard the fox. So Mr. Raven is perched upon a branch. Mr. Raven is sitting on a branch of a tree, and under the tree a fox comes. And he looks up at the raven, and secretly he observes that the raven had a morsel in his beak, and the fox wanted that morsel. He would have gone very far to get this morsel. So he gets an idea. He starts praising the raven. He praises the raven for his handsome looks, that he was very good looking. He had beautiful feathers, and after praising his appearance, he goes on to praise the voice of the crow. The fox says that you have such a melodious voice, you can sing so well only if you start singing. And if you sing, the birds of this forest are surely going to call you a king, because you already are very good looking, you have beautiful feathers. The only thing you need is to sing. Now, if you sing, the birds of the forest are going to call you the king. Now, do you remember? And think also why he asked the raven to sing. Yes, he asked the raven to sing so that the raven would open its beak to sing. You can't sing without opening the beak. And as soon as he would have opened the beak, the morsel would have fallen on the ground and the fox would have got it. So after praising the raven for his looks, for the melodious voice, the poem continues. The fox praised him, and now was the raven's reaction? The raven, who did not see the joke. Raven did not understand that it was all made up. It was not true. He was just indulging in flattery, and he gave in to the flattery. Now, if someone flatters you, you should see that this person is flattering you and you should not give in to it. But the raven had a weakness for giving in to flattery, and so he gave in to the flattery. He did not see that he was just joking. It was not true. and he forgot that his voice was just a croak. He forgot that he did not have a melodious voice. On the contrary, his voice was just a croak. It was quite irritating to hear his voice. He opened his beak in his foolish pride. He became very proud foolishly. He became proud. It was foolish of him to become proud. And he opened his beak, and down fell the morsel the fox had spied. And as soon as the beak was opened, the morsel in his mouth fell down on the ground. Now, as soon as it fell down, the fox got it, and he was very happy to get it. His plan had worked. But before he went away, the fox continued. Ha ha, said the fox, and now you see you should not listen to flattery. So he taught the raven a lesson. He said, now you see you should not give in to flattery. Vanity, sir, is a horrid vice, and vanity, that is having too much pride, is a very bad quality in a person, and I'm sure the lesson is worth the price. And the fox then ended by saying that you have surely learned the lesson now, and the price you paid for it. And what was the price? The price was the morsel which he dropped, and he says that the lesson you must have learned and the price you have paid for it is worth it. It is a price which you had to pay to learn this lesson, that flattery should not be given. You should not give in to flattery. If someone flatters you, you should see and realize and not give in to flattery. And vanity is a very bad quality in a person. Now, I hope this quick recap is going to help you to answer the questions that follow. Now, the first one, A1, say whether the following statements are true or false. Beside the sentence, you have to write true if it is true and false if it is false. Please do not write T or F. You have to follow the instructions. Here they have asked you to say and write true or false. So you are going to write the complete word. The first one, the raven was sitting on a wall. Is it true or is it false? It is false. Where was the raven sitting, or where was the raven perched? Raven was perched on a branch of a tree. In the poem, it is limb and the meaning is branch. So the raven was sitting on a branch of a tree. And this is definitely false. Now the second one, the fox starts his flattery by praising the raven's appearance. The fox started his flattery by praising his appearance, and then he came and praised his voice, his melodious voice. So it is true, he started by praising the physical appearance or the appearance of the raven, and then he praised his melodious voice and asked him to sing. So the second one is true. Now the third one. The raven's voice was melodious. Now here you must pay attention to what the sentence says. Some people may think that it means that the fox said that his voice was melodious. It is not talking about what fox said. It is just mentioning, it's a statement mentioning the fact that the raven's voice was melodious, which is of course not true. The fox said that his voice was melodious, but in reality, the voice of the raven was far from melodious. So this third statement is false. Now the fourth one. You have to think properly before you write true or false for the fourth and the fifth one. If the raven would sing, the birds of the jungle would call him king. Now, if the raven would sing, the birds of the jungle would call him king. Again, it is not talking about what Fox had said. They are talking about the time when the crow would really sing, and when he sings, the other birds would call him the king. Is it true? No. In reality, he would have sung very badly, and the other birds, would not have called him the king. So this statement is false. Many of you would have thought it is true, but it is not what the fox said. They are stating a fact that if the raven would sing, the birds of the jungle would call him king. No, they would not have called him the king. Fifth one, the fox's real intention was to educate the raven about the vice of vanity. Now, I told you this also, you have to really understand it before you write true or false. What was his real intention? What did he really want? Why did he do this? Why did he indulge in flattery? Why did he flatter him? Was it to educate him about the vice of vanity? To tell him that vanity was bad and it was a very, very bad vice? No. His real intention was to get the morsel of food. And after getting the morsel, of course, he gave this advice and he told him that vanity was a vice. So the fox's real intention was not to educate the raven about the vice of vanity. So this one is false. Now I'll repeat the answers of this one. The first one is false, second true, third false, fourth one false, and the fifth one false. Have you got all the 5 answers? Good. You'll have to write it in your notebooks. I'm going to give the homework in the ERP app. So please be sure that you have all the answers so that you can write in your notebooks. Now A2. Complete the following sentences. The sentences are given, but these are incomplete sentences. You have to complete them correctly in your own words. Now, if you are ready, we'll start. Keep a pencil in hand and keep jotting down the answers with the pencil in your book. Reynard the fox noticed that Mr. Raven had dash in his beak. What did he see or secretly observe or notice? What did the raven have in its beak? In his beak, the raven had a morsel. So what are you going to write in the blank? Morsel, M-O-R-S-E-L. Please see the correct spelling from the poem and write it. You just have to write one word, morsel. Now the second one. The fox wanted the raven to open its beak because. Now the fox really wanted the raven to open its beak. Why did the fox want the raven to open its beak? The fox wanted to ask the raven to open his beak, but then if he had asked directly, the raven would not have opened. So he thought of a plan and tried to make him open his beak by flattering him. So what will be the answer? The fox wanted the raven to open its beak because he wanted to get the morsel from his beak. Now he could not have climbed the tree, reached the raven, and if he had, by the time the raven would have flown away. So he was clever and he decided to praise him, of course, falsely to flatter him, so that he opens his mouth to sing and the morsel drops down on the ground. So the answer is the fox wanted the raven to open its beak because he wanted to get the morsel from his beak. He wanted to get the morsel from his beak. Have you all written it? You can write it in other words, but the answer has to be correct. Now the third one. The fox flattered the raven by telling him. Of course, you remember flattered is that it is false praise. Flattery is false praise. It is not true. Now, what did the fox say to flatter the raven? The fox flattered the raven by telling him that the raven was a handsome bird and he had a melodious voice. Two things he said. First, that he was a handsome bird, he was a good looking bird, and the second, that he had a melodious voice. So please write these two things. He said he was a handsome bird or a good looking bird, and he had a melodious voice, and which was of course not true. So the fox flattered the raven by telling him that the raven was a handsome bird and had a melodious voice. Have you all got 1, 2, and 3? Now we go on to the fourth one. The raven was so pleased with the compliments that I hope everyone knows the meaning of the word compliments. What is the meaning of the word compliments? When you praise something or someone, it is called a compliment. So the raven was so pleased with the praise he got from the fox that he opened his mouth. And why did he open his mouth? To sing. So the answer is the raven was so pleased with the compliments that he opened his mouth to sing. He opened his mouth to sing. Now, fifth and the last one in this exercise. After getting the food, the fox told the raven. Now he waited. That means the fox waited for the raven to open its mouth and for the morsel to drop down so that he could get it. Once that happened, he opened the mouth, the morsel fell down, and the fox got it. He told the raven, he taught him a lesson or he educated him. What did he tell him? After getting the food, the fox told the raven that he should not listen to flattery and that vanity was a horrid vice. You can write, after getting the food, the fox told the raven that he should not listen to flattery and that vanity was a horrid vice, was a great vice, was a bad quality. Flattery and vanity, two words you'll have to remember. Flattery is praising someone falsely, and vanity is when you have too much pride. Have you got all 5 of A1 and all 5 of A2? Now we go to A3. Answer these questions. These are thinking questions. You must understand the question and then frame your own sentences and then write. Please do not try to write it exactly as it is in the poem because we have to write the answers in prose form in statements. First one, what quality of the raven's character made him open his mouth to sing. Now, what quality of the raven's character made him open his mouth to sing? Now, you can keep praising me and telling me to do something, but I should be able to understand that it is not correct. You are flattering me, and I should not do what you want me to do. So, what made the raven open his mouth? The raven's weakness of giving into flattery made him open his mouth to sing. Now, the raven had a weakness, and what was the weakness? That he gave in to the flattery. He listened to the flattery and he believed that it was really true. So, that is giving in to the flattery. So, the raven's weakness of giving in to flattery, made him open his mouth to sing. Now, I'll repeat it once more. The raven's weakness of giving in to flattery made him open his mouth to sing. Now, the next one. I am sure the lesson is worth the price. Now, this is in inverted commas. That means these are the words spoken, exact words spoken by the fox. Now, in this, there are two important words, lesson and price. So I'm sure the lesson is worth the price. What was the lesson? And second, what was the price? Now when he says, I hope or I'm sure that the lesson was worth its price. Now what was the lesson? The lesson was that we should never listen to or believe in flattery. Simple lesson. It is mentioned in the last stanza. The moral is there. Moral and lesson are one and the same thing. So what was the lesson? The lesson was that we should not or we should never listen to or believe in flattery. Now, what was the price? Because in the question they say, I'm sure the lesson is worth the price. Now, what was the price the raven paid to learn this important lesson? The price was that the raven lost his morsel. He lost his morsel and the fox took it. So, the price was the loss of his morsel. So I'll just repeat, it has two parts, this question. So you must answer both the parts. The lesson was that we should never listen to or believe in flattery. And the price was that the raven lost his morsel. You could even write the price was the loss of the morsel. Now the third one is a higher order thinking question. And you'll have to really think hard before you write the answer. Why do you think? That means what you think, not what your friends or others think. Why do you think the fox preaches moral principles to the raven instead of just running away with the morsel? He indulged in flattery. The raven gave in to the flattery and he really thought that he had a melodious voice and if he sang something, others would really appreciate it, praise him, and make him the king. So he opened his mouth to sing. Now, when he opened his mouth to sing, the morsel fell down on the ground. As soon as the morsel fell down on the ground, the fox should have taken it and run away. Instead, he stayed back to teach moral principles to the raven instead of running away immediately. Why do you think the fox preaches moral principles before running away with the morsel. Now, this has to be your individual answer. You can't have the same answer for everyone. So, please think very, very well and write the answer after thinking about it properly. Now, this one, the third one, I don't want you to do in your English classwork notebook. We'll discuss it and then you are going to write in the English classwork notebook. What you are going to do today, and I hope everyone has written the new words twice and the word bank funds. If you have not, you'll finish that work and then do today's prep. And if you have done it, you are going to write answers of A1. You are going to write the complete sentence, and then next to the sentence or below the sentence, you are going to write the word true or false. Just one word true if it is true, then leave a line and then copy the second sentence and then write true or false. After you complete all these five true or false sentences or statements, then you will leave a line and write complete the following sentences. And you are going to use a blue pen for writing everything, the answers as well as the questions have to be written with a pen in your notebooks, but you can use a black gel pen only. Please, with the blue gel pen, of course. Please do not write with any other color pen. You can write and complete the following. You can write the statements with blue and the answers or what you fill in with black. Similarly, in the first one, you will copy the sentences with the blue pen and you can write the instructions and true or false with a black pen. So, instructions with a black pen, true or false with a black pen, the statements with blue. In the second one also, whatever is given after the instruction with a blue pen and fill in the blank with a black pen. Then answer these questions again. The instruction with a black pen. You can write the questions as well as with a black pen and the answers with blue. Answer number 3, I'm repeating, you are not going to write in your notebooks, that is your English classwork notebook, but you are going to write this answer in your English rough book or any rough book you have. And we are going to discuss your answers and then you are going to write it in fair. Now that is all for today, children. Till we meet next time, thank you.